know, if I say it, it ain't gonna really get the resonation until I get, you know, it's like going to the doctor. They said white coat syndrome. You know, someone could be telling me the same thing all the time. As soon as that doctor in that white coat said, it like it registers more. So Tamabuta is this little circle, which is an H, and you put 2 dots on it, makes it Tamabuta, it makes the word feminine. They say it makes the word feminine. So whatever the meaning means is that both men and women are supposed to be engaging in it in order for the excellence of it to be brought out. And this word Juma'ah, what we're attending this service called Juma'ah, it's a whole chapter called Juma'ah. And guess what's at the end of this word? Tamabuta. So the joining together, the coming together in a collective spirit, assembling yourself. The excellence of it cannot be realized or come into existence unless both men and women are engaging in it. There was a time in history where it was just the men because it wasn't safe for our women folk to come out. That's intelligent. If it's not safe, then they don't come. If they're under obligation of child rearing and it's going to be too much of a hassle, then she gets the same blessing that you get, but she's excused. How is that a less than relationship? How is she less of a human than us? The same word that we say, nafs and wahida, just one unique soul. Guess why it's unique? Because we carry both genes in our system. And we may have one dominating us over the other. Meaning we have testosterone as men dominating us. And she has estrogen. But it all comes from that X and Y chromosome. When you eat XY, I think you can be XX. So what it's saying is that physiology-wise, we're the same. Where's the difference? Nowadays, there's some women who can weightlift and can knock you out, brother. And she ain't physically afraid of you no more. That's the truth. And then, of course, we have some men who are stronger, bigger and stronger, and can overpower. So look at the beauty in our religion where Allah invites us both to learn how to deal with our emotions by using our brain, our intellect. And when you bring the heart and the mind together, then that's the most beautiful of marriages. When my mind and my heart are related, and they're engaging each other, they're massaging each other. That's the most beautiful of relationships. To just be a thinker and don't feel anything is useless in the spiritual sense. Because we know there's a whole bunch of intellectuals out there in the world, even in the Islamic world. People have information. They have knowledge. But the ability to apply that knowledge and to be able to relate and interact and engage the public, to engage your friends, engage your associates, that they feel comfortable around you, who you call yourself a Muslim. One who is actively submitting his or her will to the will of God. Why? Because it's naturally innate for us to submit ourselves to that which is excellent. It's not just submitting your will to the will of God, because if something comes, if you're very adamant and passionate about something, you're going to submit to your own will. Your will may supersede what is supposed to be until there's some reason, and then you don't start to feel something for the situation, and you make that relationship, that marriage of the heart and mind come together, then you're like, you know what, I really don't want to do this, but I know that this is the right thing, and then the reason it starts to kick in, and then you start to have a heart for the situation. Your mind alone says, hell no, I ain't doing it. He ain't deserving, she ain't deserving. But then the heart kicks in. It's not an English class, but it's good reminder that even in the word heart, you have the word ear. And when you learn to listen and stop being so defensive, when you learn to listen, then you'll learn to have a better heart for the person and the situation. In Arabic, that's called qulub. It's the same thing that you're facing in this direction, called the Qibla. But what is facing in the direction of the Qibla? It is your heart. It is your heart. Your heart is facing in this direction. And so when you time to stand and pray, if you were turning in another direction, or if you was in facing another direction, when it's time for you to turn to God in prayer, what do you have to turn to? You have to turn your heart in this direction. The Arabic word qulub is your physical heart. And we know the importance of that feeling of this physical heart and this pumping of blood. We know it's very, very important because God tells us that He is closer to us than our jugular vein. This vein that pumps the blood from the mind to the heart. God says He knows the darkest suggestions of your very soul. So where we may fool each other, Allah, God Most High, sits up on that watchtower for English language purpose. The watchtower helps you to oversee, helps you to see everything from English language. We know God ain't sitting on the watchtower. God sits in the power and the dominion of control on His own, without any supports. The same way you look outside to see that moon, see that sun, see them stars, there are no beings. God's power and His rule of the heavens and the earth is just like that. Don't need your support. Don't need my support. Don't need my acknowledgement. Oh yes, God, you are the greatest. Oh God, you are the most powerful. You are the one that can deliver. I have this hope, I have this aspiration, I have this desire, I have this dream. And that's all it is. Until God Most High chooses to make it come to life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, let me finish. After we witnessed Muhammad the Prophet is a man, is a messenger sent to us for guidance. He is not part of the divinity, helping us to keep a proper perspective, proper insight of who God is. That's why it's added. It's added. We say, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala Salat. Now, He has taught you how to come to God, how to approach God, how to turn your direction back in the proper direction. Turn your heart back to God. Come with life. Not slouching, not halfway, not questioning God. Hayya ala. Now, isn't it a good reason that you should rush to prosperity? If God has given you a formula of how to turn yourself to God, pray to God, and now God giving you a formula for success, shouldn't you rush with life to this prayer? Yes, you should. You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you it's time. You rush with life to prayer. And then you said, there is no God but God. This is what he did earlier. So I'm helping my brothers and sisters, the guests, to understand what our brother called us to. He told us to give our full attention. He put both his hands up on his ears. Not to listen to God out of one ear. Not to listen to what you want to listen to, but to give full attention. Your full attention to what God has to say. And God communicates with us. And he speaks to us through many different mechanisms. And one way is the Quran. He says, "Ma asabaka min hasanatin famin Allah, wa ma asabaka min sayyiatin famin nafsik, wa arsalnaka lin-nasi rasul, wa kafa billahi shahid." Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Surely Allah's word is powerful and true. Whatever good, O mankind, not just to you men, but to the women. And that's, O humanity, whatever good happens to thee is from Allah, helping us to keep things in their proper perspective. Because in this day and time, in this environment, this self-serving initiatives, self-initiating ideas, and hopes and desires and aspirations, we think that we did it because it was us. And in astaghfirullah, sometimes we get big-headed and think that it was because of my efforts. It was because of my sacrifice. It was because of my belief, my faith in God that I received this. And we become haughty in our own restrictive, private Muslim way. But Allah reminds us, whatever good, O mankind, happens to thee, is from God, is from Allah. And whatever evil happens to thee, is from thy own soul. Nafsik. From your own mind, from your own heart, from your own spirit, from your own will. He's asking you to move forward so you make room for others. Please come forward. Do it for your own soul. It's a blessing. Let someone else sit down. And I remember on heights, the pushing and the shoving, and the wrangling and the foolishness. The stuff is in the Quran not because, it just happened way back then, Prophet's time. I went in 97. It happened in 97. I'm pretty sure it happened, last year too. And in the process of someone pushing and shoving, I said, "Esbar be nafsi." And I said this to an Arabic-speaking person. So they knew exactly what I was saying. And it froze me. And that was my chance to get past. Because as soon as they realized what I said, they went back to doing crazy. So what it said was, "Sabr." That's the bottom of the message. I said, "Have patience with your soul." So it's like a stun gun. I stunned me for a second. So I can get away from the wall and get smashed up against the wall. And my family, they had to, be informed that I was, the master was informed of this on sight. This wave, massive wave, and I'm about to hit this wall. And he stayed pushing. And I took, that's about to be next thing. And he stopped. And I was able to get out, move, and get to safe. I went on the top and finished my tower. But if I didn't know that expression, only Allah knows what would have happened. And I ain't a little dude now, And I seen that wall coming, real fast, and it was like, I would have been face up against the wall. Ain't no telling what would happen. So this word sabr is used in the Quran on numerous occasions to remind us that is that we have to exhibit patience. And if you love your wife, you love your woman, God willing, who will be your wife, or your husband, or your man that will become your husband. And we have to be patient with each other. You're not experiencing anything greater than Muhammad the Prophet experienced. And he had way more than what we had. He had way more responsibility on him than Allah allows us to have until we get into these ijtihad conversations and justify stuff. They come up with new fatwa, religious ruling on things. Allah says that there's a certain number for us, but there was a certain number for Muhammad the Prophet. So I'm saying that if he was able to remain just, loving, kind, and respectful with the trials and tribulations that some of them took him through, then why in the world we can't be patient with who God blessed us to have? And we say we follow him. Now, I'm saying this, I'm giving advice to my Christian brothers and sisters. I've taught my daughter first when we come to Juma'ah to turn her phone off. Did tell her that. But I also taught her, don't accept no wooden nipples. Let that resonate for a second. There's a real nipple, and then there's a wooden nipple. You go to the store with a wooden nipple, you ain't get nothing. You might get a charge, but you might steal something. So I taught my nieces that are like my daughters. I have a niece that's at the University of Carolina. Big-time softball player. We love her, we're proud of her. And she's a Muslim. They just did an article on her. One of her best friends is a Christian young lady. And they interviewed her, and they try to define my niece with one word. Try to ask her coaches, ask her team, ask her teammates. They even interviewed my daughter, who they're best of friends. They're cousins, but they're the best of friends. They asked them all. Describe her with one word. No one made the effort or attempt to describe her with one word because she's just that special. And guess what that one word was that they did not want to accept? That she's a Muslim. Like it would have been a fighting word or a cry word or something for them to just acknowledge and say, they already know the name is routine. You can't forsake that for something else. One who has the Constitution and endurance and are willing to work hard and keep that Constitution in place. That's what a routine is. And Allah tells us this in the Quran. Watin was age, waturi sinin. But they didn't want to say it. The reason why she's the person that she is, not just the ball player that she is, that she's a Muslim. And a mother who birthed her, who still have records in North Carolina, she's a Muslim. Her grandparents, who founded the Masjid in Greensboro, Muslim. She's been raised as a Muslim. That's why she's so special. That's why Allah allows her to track down balls that nobody else can get. She moves from her natural position of shortstop and gobble up everything to move her to the outfield to run down everything. She gets one single and steals all the bases. I'm telling you fact, I'm not bragging. I'm telling you what Allah has allowed this young lady to do. And at the same time, keep her human form. And she always joins us at the Masjid and help and give advice to the young people. And we have 2 young ladies now that are pursuing activities, and we put her in contact with them.